As you can see, I'm making dinner here, and I accidentally cut myself with this big old sharp knife. And I'm going to use some Qwick-AID to stop it from bleeding. So it's a pretty deep cut. It's right on the very edge of my thumb while I was cutting that onion. It just slid off there and got right into my side of my finger. So I've already wiped the blood off a couple of times, but it continues to bleed. So I'm going to use some Qwick-AID to make sure that it stops bleeding. So here's the old Qwick-AID. I'm going to pull this guy out here. And I'm going to put it bandage side down. I'm going to put some direct pressure right on top of that wound there, right on the side of my finger. And I'm going to hold it here for about a minute. And during the course of that minute, what's going to happen is the bandage is going to do all the work. The bandage is going to draw the blood out from the wound. And the ingredients in the bandage are not only antiseptic, but they're going to accelerate the healing process of that wound. It's going to allow the wound to seal itself. So normally when you put direct pressure on a wound, the bandage you're using it makes the clot. But with Qwick-AID, the bandage isn't making the clot, the body's making the clot itself. So usually when you remove a bandage away from a wound that you were putting direct pressure on, usually the clot comes with it and it begins rebleeding again. With Qwick-AID, that doesn't happen because the bandage isn't doing all the work, your body's doing all the work. So when I remove the bandage, there'll be no more rebleeding or anything like that. So again, I'm holding this thing here for a full minute. As I'm holding this thing here, again, all the properties of the bandage are being shown here. It's pulling the blood out of the wound, accelerating that healing process, and sealing that wound up all on its own. Now, when you're cooking, it's very easy to get cut when you're using big, sharp knives. So for all you chefs out there, this is a great thing to have around the kitchen just in case. Because every once in a while, everyone cuts themselves using those big knives, so it's a great thing to have around the kitchen for sure. Alright, that should be pretty close to a minute there. Now, as I remove this bandage here, now we look back at my thumb now. As we zoom in there, you can see, let me try to get that clear for you. You can see that wound is completely closed. There's no more blood coming out of it, and it's totally done bleeding. Once again, we use the great product Qwick-AID. So when you're cut and you need to stop bleeding, this is the thing to use. Alright, so I just showed you what the wound looked like when it was bleeding, and I used our Qwick-AID here to patch up my finger. And this is about a minute later. I've wiped the wound off after I've let the bleeding stop. And as you can see there, you can hardly even see that there's a cut there at all. If you look on the side, you can barely see it. But again, Qwick-AID healed that wound up, made it close up, and I was able to get back to cooking some dinner. So again, if you get cut and you're in the kitchen or anywhere else, Qwick-AID is the product to use.